Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I'm very sorry about that. The program quit on me when I switched back to me from Alexis. So, welcome back, Alexis. Thank you so much for that initial segment there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and jump into the news, and Alexis is going to hang out and jump in and make some comments as I finish relaying what the news is, and we'll get going. All right, first up. That is not it. Okay, I did lose a little bit of work when it crashed, but there we go. Now give me a second to find all my things now. There we go. There we are.
It wouldn't be Transverse without some technical glitches.
It wouldn't be live TV, a live stream without a lot of technical problems. That's just the way it goes. But yeah, it is
Very
sort of
true.
our signature, isn't it? I love it. All right. This is a great one. I was really excited about this one, and I probably should have been able to move it further down, but I didn't have time today. So we'll start off after Alexis's bit here with a really fun story. Will and Harper is a documentary film that debuted at Sundance Film Festival to a standing ovation. It follows longtime friends Will Ferrell and Harper Steele on a road trip across America as they discuss and navigate Harper's recent transition to female. Hired during the same week in 1995, the two quickly bonded at Saturday Night Live because Steele was one of the few in the writer's room who saw how to craft bits for the tall, deadpan Ferrell. The idea, apparently, for this movie came from Ferrell, who, knowing how much Steele loved taking cross-country road trips, suggested they take one together to see how her favorite places treat her now that she's finally living as her true self. The trip is full of tense and uncomfortable moments, heartwarming surprises, deep, heartfelt discussions, and, of course, comedic shenanigans. Because, we're talking two hilarious people from SNL. Harper sums up the through line of the film when she says, "I love this country, I just don't know if it loves me back." And sure, they run into plenty of tense situations. One of Steele's biggest surprises, though, comes in an Oklahoma bar replete with Trump signs and Confederate flags, where she is embraced rather than shunned, leading her to admit, quote, "The joke's on me. I'm not afraid of these people. I'm afraid of myself." Rolling Stone called the film, quote, "genuinely moving," and Vulture said the standing ovation the film received was, quote, "genuine, immediate, and explosive." Hopefully the wide appeal and star power of Will Ferrell will open up a lot of people to seeing this film and learning some truth about who trans people really are. Did you have a chance to check out any of the stuff of this one, Alexis?
I did to some extent, and I mean, it's really good of Will Ferrell to use his star power to amplify a trans voice. That is really good. We need more of that. Because realistically, if we are going to have any chance of winning this battle, cis people have to fight harder than we do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Simply because, as I've said many times before on this program and in other places, when you are the target, your voice no longer really matters to the people who are targeting you. And so the only people who can potentially stop this are cis people. So, it's really good to see someone again with the star power of Will Ferrell to um go out of his way to amplify trans voices, especially now. It's very interesting, the whole yeah, encounter in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely read a lot of horror stories out of places like that, so I don't really think that's gonna be a universal experience as much as I would want it to be. But, you know.
Yeah, and apparently, according to the things that I came across, 'cause I haven't been able to watch it yet, but apparently it's coming to Netflix, so that's good. But they did run into a lot of trouble in Texas with being dead named and being kind of
Mm.
harassed a bit. So it is definitely a mixed bag and is going to be. But I think if it can maintain this through line of positivity and the courage that Harper showed in going back on a cross country road trip and having Will by her side. I'm hoping that this all adds up to a story that is easily palatable by a lot of a much wider audience of cis folks that will really learn something new and important about us.
That would be good.
It would be good. Keep your
Definitely.
fingers crossed.
Fingers, toes. Yep.
All right, this is a story that I wrote personally just because it was something that I was going through, and I guess I'm still sort of feeling the effects. And I just thought we should kind of talk about this here. It's always important to talk about mental health, whether it is because of being part of the LGBT community, being part of the trans community, or just something that we kind of all go through. It's really important to bring light to mental health struggles that folks have, and just help normalize things. January brings an interesting mix of emotions to all of us. We've got the hopes, aspirations, and resolutions of a new year, with lots of people saying this will be the year. And that is juxtaposed with the fact that we're still in the shortened days of the dreary winter months, where simply going outside can take a ton of energy. This year, I've personally experienced and seen repeatedly among my friends feelings of being overwhelmed and gobs of internal negativity. Why would this happen at such a hopeful time in the year? Well, aside from the cold weather and the short days, one of the big factors that I think is sort of that hopefulness. Oftentimes, whether we set grand resolutions for ourselves or not, the new year is a time for reflection and reassessment. Many of us look at what we'd hoped to accomplish the year before, what we fell short on, and now what we no longer have confidence that we can accomplish this year. And that sort of adds to this negative self-image. Too often our brains see progress and an extremely linear progress of equally spaced rungs. There's no space or patience for lateral movement, small steps, regrouping, reevaluation, pulling back. It's just sort of got to be this regular progression forward. Otherwise, we see ourselves as failures, not moving forward enough. And all that adds up. Before we know it, we've found lots of evidence that we're not doing enough and we're not good enough. Compile on top of that a political climate where one party is promising the complete extermination of people like us, and the immense momentum of that movement, and desperation quickly becomes the order of the day. In the past week, I have seen several of my friends either struggle or completely break down, including myself. So I wanted to offer some encouragement and advice for how we can survive this and thrive this year. First off, I want to make sure we remember that this is normal. According to Matthew Gill, Regional Director of Psychology Services at Signet Healthcare, there are biological reasons why many people feel low and lack energy during January. It's a natural response to this time of year. So first off, take that weight off. You're feeling down or whatever. It's not any reflection of you. It's something we all go through, and it's something that is natural, biological. So, cut yourself some slack there. Second, you're wrong. The things your brain is telling you about your accomplishments and about your worth are just plain wrong. You are doing far better than you give yourself credit for, and you are loved and valued by others far more than you allow yourself to realize. You are an important part of the world ecosphere, you're an important part of our community, and you're an important part of the Transverse. There is always love available to you if you allow yourself to receive it and ask for it from those around you. The thing I keep telling myself to feel better about the political atmosphere is that polls show most people believe the bills targeting us are unwarranted or unnecessary. The majority of people are still on our side. So even though people in power do horrible things to restrict our rights, there will always be folks who support us. Also, no matter what they do to us, we will outlive them and their bigoted, overreaching, and horrendous policies. We're an incredibly strong community together, and you can't kill us off because new people are born every day. We're not a race that can be killed off. So that was a long message, but it was something that I struggled with early in just in the middle of January and kind of since then. So I thought it was important to bring that up and share what I've been going through, share why so many of us feel that, and hopefully try and make you feel a little better. All right, moving on to our next story. Oh, no, this is not in the right order. Hold on. There we go. Idaho's House Committee on State Affairs passed HB 384, a book ban targeting LGBTQ plus books. Representative Julianne Young stated it did not ban gay characters, just acts of homosexuality, which are undefined. So it doesn't ban gay characters, it just bans characters who do gay stuff or are gay. On Martin Luther King Jr. Day of all days, most legislatures across the United States were closed for business. However, this was not the case for Idaho's Committee on State Affairs. The committee convened to discuss HB 384, a bill that could ban LGBTQ plus books, along with many literary classics and potentially the Bible in schools and libraries throughout the state. The hearing, which predominantly featured testimony opposing the bill, featured sparring over a clause that could lead to banning books with gay characters. During one notable exchange, Julianne said her comment, it just bans acts of being gay, not being gay in and of itself. But otherwise, how would you know that a character is gay? The bill revisits a similar book ban passed in the state in 2023. Governor Brad Little vetoed the ban, citing potential unintended consequences for patrons and the risk of libraries facing bankruptcy. The new bill closely mirrors its predecessor with a small change. It reduces the fine for library violations to $250. However, this reduction is vastly overshadowed by the inclusion of quote-unquote legal fees in successful book challenges. Such fees could easily stretch into the tens of thousands of dollars, as we see that, most legal fees do. Of particular concern in the bill is the inclusion of a statute that bans, among other things, books that contain gay characters as automatically being sexually explicit, something we've seen in other states as well. Multiple people pointed out that LGBTQ plus representation in books is important to library patrons of all ages, and that books with two dads or two moms should not be barred from the library or seen as explicit, for God's sake. In response, Representative Young claimed that the book ban did not ban the characters, just the acts. So.
Okay, so number one, couple things. Number one, this is the bitch who was presenting on stage with white supremacist militias back before the attempted attack on the Pride Parade in, I believe it was Coeur d'Alene. So pardon me if I'm not taking your word for it. And number two, I am so tired of these fucking people inventing hairs to split on the fly. I mean, that's exactly what's going on here. You see it all the time on the internet. We see it all the time in these bills, all the time in the political sphere in general, where people just make shit up or, again, split hairs that they invented 5 seconds ago and act like anything they just said made any kind of goddamn sense. I am reading this bill right here. I hadn't seen it until now. Which is weird for me. I usually am keeping up with this stuff. Yeah, it is very blatant. It says sexual conduct means any act of, and it includes several different things on here, but homosexuality is number 2 on the list after masturbation. And there's absolutely no definition of homosexuality given. So the article and the criticism is, surprise, surprise, correct. It does ban gay characters and just LGBTQ characters in general, if they are having same-sex/same gender relations of any kind, even if it's just hand-holding, from the libraries. That's exactly what it does. There is no debate to be had over that, Representative Young. Shut the hell up.
Well, yeah, and if it bans any quote acts of homosexuality, the audience can. If it bans any acts of homosexuality, just the mere fact that they are two parents that are same sex, that that counts.
That would count. Absolutely.
We'll get into a little bit later. We're talking about one of the stories. I make a little comment of, some of that manufactured stuff. I mean, we talk about manufactured things. We have talked to death on this show about the furries or kids using litter boxes in schools myth and how pervasive that was and how widespread it was at one point and how it still comes up and they're still trying to ban it. What was the state that recently enacted a ban against furries in schools?
I have no idea, but I'm not surprised by it.
Yeah, we covered it the last time we were on, but it's just ridiculous, and I'm so
Gotta
shocked
be
by
the
the
funniest fucking band I've ever seen.
I'm
This
so shocked by
entire thing is the entire thing is based on Joe Rogan saying something stupid one time, like, what, 4 or 5 years ago now?
uh-huh.
Whatever it
And
was? Yeah.
and the thing is I'm so amazed that these people are able to create laws that are based on things that don't exist, that aren't happening. And because they create these laws, they create a belief that those things are happening. And it's like,
Yep.
you shouldn't be able to lie like that. You shouldn't be able to use false premises for laws and do this crap. And I don't know how we could regulate that or do anything about it, but it's so frustrating to see how pervasive that is.
You know, if this wasn't part of a moral panic, it would moral panic slash genocidal push. If it wasn't part of that, if it wasn't intended to be part of that, it would actually be goddamn hilarious because it's literally it's one of those you can't walk down the sidewalk with an ice cream bar in your back pocket on a Wednesday night kind of laws. You know those stupid things that you hear about on occasion? These quirky ass laws that have been on the books since 18 whatever, you know? It would be one of those. Absolutely. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, we can't even laugh at it because it's part of this broader push.
Yeah. Yeah. At extermination.
Stupid as it is, as patently hilarious as it is, the context renders it more, renders the humor non-existent. That's a
Yeah.
weird way of phrasing it, but you get my point.
Yeah. All right. Let's move